Two quick things before I get into it. First is a reminder to go vote on the poll in my community tab that will be running until patch day. Second is an apology to those who like gameplay, as this guide is just going to be all pictures for those who are just starting out with the Naval grind. Anyways, getting into it, since modules are the first things that players will encounter when they are improving their ships, and can be somewhat overwhelming at the first glance if you don't really know what you're looking at, I will be covering these first, starting with a brief description of the major modules you will see, and then moving into what I normally do per research order for them, and how you should kind of look at it per how it's going to affect your gameplay. As for the module descriptions, I will be using Scharnhorst as it has most of the common modules that you'll see across all naval vessels. But getting right into it with Tier 1 modules, first up you have Dry Docking, which is a small speed boost to your vessel, though it is much smaller than later modules will provide. After that we have the Damage Control Division, which speeds up your repair times, though I do wish this one had actual values in the description, but it is a very handy module to have, especially with longer repair times like engine bays or main battery guns that take a significant amount of time to repair. This does make a noticeable difference. After that, we have upgraded ammo for your main batteries. It may or may not be the best for your ship, but we'll talk on that later when discussing module research order. After that, we have upgraded secondary battery ammo, which, similar to the main battery rounds, may not be the best, but it may be worth taking. It all depends on what your ship has, and we'll speak on that a little later, obviously. And lastly, in Tier 1, we have the anti-air armament targeting, which speeds up the traverse times of your anti-aircraft guns significantly and helps them track planes much better. Moving on to the Tier 2 modules, we have the rudder replacement module, which almost halves your turning times and radius, making a very noticeable difference in how your ship actually handles. After that, we have Fire Division, which takes a few seconds off extinguishing fires, though I wish this one also had actual values in the description because it doesn't really tell you how much it takes off. After that, once again, we have upgraded ammo for your main battery guns, and I'll be discussing this later as stated. And lastly, we have auxiliary armament targeting, which greatly increases the traverse speeds of your secondary battery. Moving into the Tier 3 modules, first up we have propeller replacement, which boosts your overall speed and acceleration by a decent margin. Shrapnel protection is up next, which supposedly reduces shrapnel damage to your ship's interior, but the description is very vague and offers no numerical values to show what it actually is improving, so it's kind of a toss-up if it's helping at all. Ventilation reduces crew loss if there's a fire, but gives, once again, no numerical data in the description to tell you by how much it actually reduces it. Improved rangefinders next, which makes your range estimates much more accurate by about 15%. It's not a massive difference, but it can help you if you're lining up shots on specific components versus kind of just firing randomly at a ship. And if you're an arcade player, it might not help you in the first place because I'm not really sure if it even affects that system now. Up next, we have upgraded ammo for your secondary battery. Like I said, I'll be discussing these later. And lastly, we have primary armament targeting, which significantly boosts the traverse speed of your main battery guns. On most ships, this one's super handy. Lastly, we have the Tier 4 modules, and the first of those is engine maintenance. This is a better version of propeller replacement. It greatly increases your speed and acceleration times. After that, we have new pumps, which massively reduces how long it takes to remove flooding from your ship. And this one actually gives numerical data for once, surprisingly. Ammo wetting is up next, which reduces fire damage to ammunition. It possibly reduces shrapnel or near-hit damage from enemy shells to your magazines as well, but with no numerical data in the description, it's very hard to tell overall. After that, we have upgraded ammo for your main battery once again, and I will be discussing that later. After that, we have torpedo mode, which increases the range of your torpedoes at the cost of their overall speed. The description shows the speed change in meters per second, while torpedo speed is measured in kilometers per hour. It's rather annoying that you have to convert it yourself to see if it's even worth it on your ship. And lastly, of course, we have hydroplane, which gives your ship the ability to use its float planes, which is actually pretty handy for grabbing cap zones across the map or dropping smoke screens for yourself. So now that we've covered what each module does, let's talk about research order. Typically you have to research one Tier 1 module to reach Tier 2, 2 Tier 2s to reach Tier 3, 3 Tier 3s to reach Tier 4. Sometimes this does vary, but most of the time it kind of follows this general pattern. And sometimes grabbing more than what is required does help make your gameplay experience just a little bit better. Of course, that doesn't mean take all of Tier 1 and then move on to Tier 2, because you will definitely suffer for that. As far as this video goes though, I will be going through all of these as if I'm kitting out my Scharnhorst. So adjust these for which modules are available to your ship, per where you are in its research, and how useful they are to your gameplay style. Now, as for Tier 1, my first pick would be upgraded ammo, but this is only if the better shell isn't in Tier 2. If the better shell is in Tier 2, I would skip this and research the better shell as your second pick, and instead I'd pick up damage control division. If the best shell for your ship is down in Tier 3 or 4, get this shell as your first upgrade rather than waiting, because it'll save you a little bit of suffering as you try to get down to those other shell upgrades. This logic will also be applying to your secondary battery ammo. If it is useful to upgrade, grab the best shell you can when you feel it is relevant to have. Now, as far as my second module, it does tend to be fire division with how threatening ammo fires are now. Basically every second counts to try to save your ship. But like I said, sometimes this might be your upgraded shell first. Moving on to my third pick though, I would pick up your rudder replacement module. This makes your ship way better to handle overall, and definitely helps a ton with avoiding the chaos in your spawn zones. Moving on to the fourth pick, we will be jumping back to Tier 1, where we pick up the damage control division module to cut down on those lengthy repair times, especially if they are delaying your shots, as firing while repairing increases your reload times. As for your fifth module, we will finally be jumping down to Tier 3, and we will pick up shrapnel protection, and then ventilation as your sixth module. These have vague descriptions, but really any survivability is useful for you in this game, so I definitely hit these ones up first. After those, you typically will pick up your primary armament targeting as your seventh module, just for the better primary turret rotation. Since some ships like Scharnhorst already have good main battery rotations, this is where you could pick up your improved secondary shells instead, if you're already happy with how fast your turrets turn. For your eighth choice, I would grab your ammo wetting, as you will now have Tier 4 modules unlocked to research, and this is an extremely effective module for survivability, even if the description gives no real values overall. After that, you can jump back to Tier 3 and pick up either the secondary ammo or primary armament targeting, depending on which one you chose before. And then as your 10th choice, I would take engine maintenance, as it will overall boost your mobility pretty significantly. After that, you can take propeller replacement for even more maneuverability, pumps for faster flooding removal, or torpedo mode if you found those to be extremely useful in your gameplay. Some destroyers may want to take torpedo mode first if it's super useful for their gameplay, and research the other modules after your first choice, of course. After those, I would suggest focusing on improved range finding for realistic players, along with anti-air targeting to swat away those planes, auxiliary armament targeting if you feel your secondary's traverse speeds are pretty slow, hydroplane for your objective control, and dry docking for a little bit more speed. Really, the rest of these modules depend on your gameplay style and choice. The only modules I would avoid are the shell upgrades that you won't use, ergo the ones that are downgrades from your best shell, or the anti-aircraft shells for your main battery and secondary batteries, as in most cases you won't have the time to swap ammo types to engage enemy planes. Moving on from modules, we have crew skills, which new players might not notice as first because it's kinda hidden away, but these will constantly accrue points, which you won't lose just because you researched a different ship. But crew skills do have decent descriptions with numerical values compared to the modules, so I won't describe each one, but I will note ones to avoid unless you really have nowhere else to spend your crew experience points. As far as my grinds go, I tend to only use 3 crew slots for blue water. It helps concentrate your crew experience and gives you 2 spare slots for a coastal, a plane, or a destroyer if you feel like sticking it in your lineup at the higher tiers. I will also be avoiding discussing qualification bonuses in this video, as that's more of a kind of endgame thing after you get your crew kind of worked out to where you want it. Moving on to what I would avoid on each page though. For your commander, I tend to avoid radio communication. From what I understand, this only helps you see targets that your allies are detecting with their ship, and I really haven't run into any scenarios where this was relevant and my allies were detecting something that I couldn't target or view myself. So I would avoid this one overall. Moving on to your observers, I would suggest avoiding surface detection distance, but we'll be adding air detection distance to it for the current version of the game because your anti-aircraft guns will fire at targets that you might not even be able to see as long as they are within range. And some anti-aircraft seems to have a rather massive range compared to your base air detection skills. Surface detection just seems like it's a minuscule gain for what you get from it, so it really doesn't seem like it's worth the points. For your boiler room, I tend to avoid fire prevention until I run out of other places to put points. This only reduces fire chances for your engine spaces from 1% to 0.5%. It doesn't help with turrets, it doesn't help with your bridge, it doesn't help with your magazine fires, which actually hamper and destroy your ship. If your engine is on fire, chances are it's already broken anyway, so it's just kinda increasing your repair time, that's all. Moving on to gunners, your auxiliary gunner accuracy is useless unless you are letting your secondary guns be controlled automatically. It really does nothing if you're manually firing them alongside your main batteries. Remote fuse setting accuracy may be one to avoid if you don't use the anti-aircraft shells for your secondary or main battery guns. I tend not to, but that one's really up to you. And finally, under damage control, I would save survival leadership for extreme last, kinda like fire prevention. I don't think this skill has a massive effect, but I haven't really tested it out. You shouldn't be launching multiple damage control actions at once in most situations anyway, so I don't entirely see the use for this skill unless it completely negates that issue. Now as far as the skill upgrade order goes, you can adjust these for what you find most useful for your playstyle. I tend to allot points to skills in groups of 2 or 3 rather than spreading them out, or only doing one skill at a time. Typically, I upgrade crew interchangeability and leadership first. Interchangeability increases the crew percentage on your ship, basically allowing you to take more damage before finally sinking due to crew loss. Leadership will further boost this, and also applies bonuses to other skills by an extra 5%, so it is an extremely useful skill overall in my opinion. Up next, I tend to work on your main caliber reload speed, fire extinguishing, and auxiliary caliber reload speed. Both the reload speeds are kind of self-explanatory. The faster reloads tend to mean that you deal more damage overall, and fire extinguishing cuts a few seconds off your firefighting actions, which is really important when those extra seconds could result in a magazine detonation. After those, I tend to upgrade the AAA gunner accuracy to swap more planes, along with unwatering time and breach repair. These two skills are very handy to reduce the damage control times, and to fix torpedo strikes or shells that hit you below the waterline. And lastly, for skills that I do recommend, I would be putting points into ship control to slightly boost your maneuverability, and torpedo detection distance, as having a bit extra warning may save you from potential destruction. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Good luck out there guys, I'll see you in the next one.